Hey, what's up guys? Ice Time from Ice Time Studios here. We have a new tutorial today. We are going to go over cloning on touch. So what that pretty much means is we are going to make it so when you touch a part, it clones an item out of your server storage and brings it into your work world, or your workspace. So you can do this with all different kinds of parts. You can do it with models like the tower, you can do it meshes like this car, and you can do it like swords too, or other tools, guns, whatever you may be using. So that's what we're going to go over today. Alright, and for our example we are going to make clones of Builderman, and we're going to make Builderman appear in our world. So let's get started on the script. Alright, now guys, it's not too complicated of a script, but depending on your experience you may need to pause the video to follow along. This is what it'll look like when it's done. We're going to delete this and start over from scratch here though. Alright, again, feel free to pause the video at any time so you can copy the script, or if you need to rewatch it, don't be afraid to rewind the video or even watch again. Learning scripting, everybody learns at a different speed, and it's not the simplest thing in the world, so don't feel bad if you have to pause or you don't understand the first time through. That happens to all of us. So anyway, here we go. We're going to start by declaring our variables. So we have a few variables here. We have our Builderman himself. We have just a regular part here that we called touch. And then we have a part here that we called spawn. The colors and the transparency, that doesn't matter at all, guys. I just did that just to make it more colorful and look different here. Just make sure you anchor both parts. And for your spawn part, again, it doesn't really matter for this, for the sake of the tutorial, but in your game you're probably going to want to make it so that your part where your cloned item will spawn has Can Collide turned off so the parts don't clip. So that's what I did here as well. So we have those two parts here, and we have Builderman, so we're going to create variables for each. So local spawn equals game.workspace dot spawn local, we'll call this touch, equals game.workspace dot touch, whoops, dot touch, there we go, and local builder equals game. Now this one's going to be different, guys. This isn't going to be workspace. It's going to be game.server storage. And before you do your script, make sure you have your models, your meshes, your tools, whatever you're going to be cloning. Make sure you have them and you drag them down to server storage. Alright, server storage dot Builderman. And the last variable we need is for our debounce. If you saw at the beginning, when I touched the block that spawned that classic Roblox sword, it spawned a whole bunch of swords, and that's because we have debounce disabled on that part of the script. So without debounce statement in there, the game's going to register you touching the spawning part over and over again, and without debounce it's going to just spawn a whole mess of whatever you're cloning. So that may be your intentions, and if that's the case, feel free to leave debounce out. If that's not your intentions, then make sure you have debounce. So we're just going to call it local debounce, and it starts off as false. So that's it for our variables. Alright, we're going to go make our functions now. Well, really just one function for this. So local function, and we'll call this local function clone. Alright, and what we want is we want to create a new variable here. This is going to be local, we'll just call it cloned equals builder, which remember we made builder variable up top here for game.serverstorage.builderman, so builder, and then we're going to run :clone, and this will make a clone of him. So if we don't run :clone and we make him spawn in the world, it's going to take him out of server storage and it's going to put him back up in the workspace, and then we won't be able to make multiple copies. It'll be one and done. So we always want to make a clone of these items so that you're not destroying or modifying the original item. So we make him a clone. Alright, now cloned dot position. Well, actually, since this is a model, we need to go off of whatever the model's primary part is, because the model itself doesn't have a position property. It only has an origin position. So this model's primary part is humanoid root part. So we're going to go cloned dot humanoid root part dot position, and we're going to make that position equal to where we want them to spawn. So we just called that the spawn part, right? So it's going to be spawn dot position. Now spawn is a regular part, so spawn does have a position property. Now that we have its position set, now we need to change its parent from server storage to workspace. So this is just going to be cloned dot parent equals game dot workspace. Now you can just put workspace, guys. You don't have to put game dot workspace. It's just a habit that I have, but just to clarify that for you. So now we have our function. Now, as it stands now, if we touch a part, it'll take the clone and it'll move them. But it's going to make multiple clones because we didn't put our debounce statement in. So before we forget, let's put our debounce in here. So if not debounce, then we can get rid of this end statement until later. If not debounce, then debounce equals true. Alright, and we have all them. Debounce equals true, then we're going to have our function happen. Then we're going to wait. Let's make it wait 5 seconds, guys. So we'll only be able to spawn a builder man every 5 seconds. Wait 5 seconds, and then we're going to set debounce back equal to false. Alright. And we just got to put our other end in here to close off the if statement. So now our function is done. Alright. And the only thing left is to make our triggering event. So our triggering event is going to be when we walk into the part called spawn, right? That's what we, or I'm sorry, the part called touch. When we walk into the part called touch, we want it to spawn builder man. So here we go. We already made a variable for it called touch, so we're going to say touch dot event touched with the little lightning bolt there. And do colon connect. Now we can put our function name in, which is clone, and that's it. You should have the whole script here. We have our variables, our functions, and the event. Remember, guys, when you are scripting, try and put notes in. You put a note in or notate something out just by putting 2 dashes. So you'll notice that I have some colors changed here, but my notes are all in gray. So if I say, you know, game.workspace, but I decide, oh wait, I don't want that to run, instead of I can just notate it out, and that's good. Or I can just put the 2 dashes there and type out notes like I did to separate the sections of the script. So always try and stay organized. Try and keep your notes in the script. This will help you later on if you have an issue and need to troubleshoot your script. Because sometimes you'll be coming back to your scripts and it might be days, weeks, or even months after you originally made them. And without notations, sometimes you're not going to remember exactly what you were thinking or where you were putting things. So notes help. Notes help very much. If you're working on a team as well, notes are going to help your team understand what you were doing in that script as well. So anyway, let's go to play now. We're going to test this out. Alright, let's make sure we have our output screen shown so if there's any errors we can see. We're going to walk in. Oh, look at that. There's Builder Man. He appeared just like we want it, guys. So we look. Now there's a Builder Man in the workspace. And he got cloned from server storage, so just like we wanted to. So if we walk into it again, it's been 5 seconds. There's Builder Man. But look, it's not making more. But if we wait a few more seconds for the debounce to change again, and we walk into it, it'll clone another one. So now if we wanted people to spawn faster, we would just change that wait timer to a lower number, or if we wanted to take longer, we can change that wait timer to a higher number. It's up to you. It doesn't matter for the sake of this. If we come back over to the examples here, Just two different things I want to show you again. Just like we talked about debounce with Builderman, for this script for my examples, the classic Roblox sword is touch 3 here, and you'll see I have notated out the debounce lines. So when I walk on this, it just keeps spawning swords. Just tons of swords are spawning. So you can see it says trigger 3 has been touched 53 times. So in those couple seconds, it registered 53 touch events, and it spawned 53 swords into my game. That's a lot of Roblox swords, guys. You probably don't need 53 Roblox swords. I mean, we only have 2 hands. What are we supposed to do with all these swords? So that's why debounce is so important. You don't want to accidentally spawn too many items into your world and clutter it up. Why we are talking about the swords as well, or tools in general. If you click on the properties of a tool, you'll see there's no position property. Every tool needs a part called handle though, so what you can do is just click on handle. That has a position, so in the script, when you're changing its position, you can do, tool.handle.position equals wherever you want it to spawn .position. And then the only other thing is over here on the model. If you're doing a model that's not a human, it doesn't have a root part, or a primary part rather, by default. So you just have to set one, guys. So if you click on the model name, you'll see the primary part property here. Just set a primary part. For me, I just made one and called it primary part, and then set it to that position. Alright guys, well that's everything we have for today. I hope this was helpful for you, and make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and leave me a comment with any questions. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I appreciate you watching, and stay tuned till next time.